Alright, welcome back and thanks for tuning in again. So we got a bit of an off-the-wall video today. It's not engine related, it's not generator related, but it is kind of electrical related. So what I want to do is pretty much get this light. This is, well, what we have here is an area light or a barn light, some kind of mercury vapor fixture that I want to mount on my pole barn back there, and I'll show you why. We'll take a walk out there in a second. But it's made by Pemco, which is Philadelphia Electric Manufacturing. It's pretty neat. I think it's probably from the 1960s or the 1970s. I picked it up at an engine show a few years ago, just because I've always kind of liked this style of light, and I always wanted to have a use for one, so now I actually do. So let's take a look at the fixture and what we got to do, and we'll go look at the job over at the pole barn. Alright, so here's what we're working with here. Got a nice, you see that? Got a nice logo here, Pemco, on the head of the fixture. This is aluminum. Got like a spun aluminum reflector here. One of the clips broke off, but I do still have it. Got an old ballast here, which this actually does work. I've already tried that. Looks a little worse for wear, but if it works now, it should keep working for a while, I would imagine, if it's lasted this long. So we got the socket. The socket's a little rough, needs a little bit of attention, and a little bonnet ring that threads on top. So it's got the Pemco name there, but it's also got P and S right there, which I think is Pass and Seymour. So does this. This says Pemco on it. But then, and maybe this one doesn't. Little photocell socket. Again, the bonnet says Pemco, but the socket itself says Pass and Seymour. So, I don't know. Pemco, Philadelphia Electric Manufacturing, they've been around a long time. And that's one reason why I like this light is if it was, well, it was made by and sold by Philadelphia Electric, and Philadelphia is 25 miles from me. So, you can see it in the shade here, or the refractor, I think they call it. Big heavy glass thing. See, Philadelphia Electric Manufacturing Company, and then there's a patent date there, I think 1961. Oh no, that just says patent pending, but there's a Canadian patent there, 63. But the lens, or the shade, I think, well, I'm pretty sure it's got the word holophane there. It's made by Holophane, which they're another kind of electrical lighting fixture manufacturing outfit. And I think they did more with the optics, so they probably made this for Pemco. Got the little retaining ring here, got the arm that it hangs on, and I managed to find a older Philips Mercury vapor bulb made in '98, so it's not that old, but it's brand new, made in the United States, so that's cool. So really, we got to get this thing cleaned up, put back together, and mount it on the barn and all wired up. Let's go take a look at the installation, or where it's going to go. Alright, well, we're out here at the pole building, so I want to mount it right up at the peak there, kind of in the middle of this area. And that arm is about 3 foot long, so it should hang out and light this whole area up pretty well, I think. Enough that I can drive things in and out and work out here if I need to. So inside, that's just like a plywood face there. Let's take a look inside here. So you can see the plywood, there's not really much structure behind there. There's a couple 2x4s that make up the A-frame. But I'm probably going to have to, well, I know I'm going to have to put some kind of reinforcement there, because if I try to hang that light around the plywood, it's going to pull the lag bolts right out. So I'll probably have to have like a 2x12 or something, like a backing board back there. So the electric to the pole barn is, well, it leaves a little bit to be desired. Let me flip this light on here. You can see it's all wired with Romex, which is not the ideal wiring method for an outdoor barn or a pole barn like this. And this is the incoming line. There's a piece of number 8 UF that comes directly underground from the breaker panel in the house. They got a 30 amp 120 volt receptacle here. I guess they probably parked an RV in here at some point. And then a duplex receptacle. That's it. Then it branches off, that goes down there for that light. This is just a junction box really at this point. Goes to the light switch over there, and then it goes up to that light fixture. And then there's another switch in that corner which controls just the light that's behind the forklift there. Oh, and there's another duplex over there. I forgot about that one. So even though Romex is not the preferred method, I'm going to stick with it at this point. You know, if it's already here and I'm not going to redo it all, I might as well just keep going with it. So what I want to do with this light is utilize the photocell, but be able to bypass that and run it during the day if for whatever reason I need to. And I'm also going to, so this is on a 30 amp breaker here, which means that all of this 12 gauge wire in here is not protected properly. So I'm going to mount a little breaker box here with a 20 amp breaker for the duplex receptacle and a 15 amp breaker for all the lighting, so, and including the new light fixture. So let's go ahead and get that fixture cleaned up, put back together, and we'll go ahead and mount it. Okay, well, I've spent some time here. I got the ballast cleaned up a little bit. It's still rusty, but I sprayed a coat of clear, like acrylic clear coat on it, just to kind of keep it from rusting any worse than it is. I don't know what the effect of the heat is going to be on that. We'll see. I mean, what's the worst that could happen, right? So, got my new bulb in there, got some new connections made up, got the old photocell. I think there's a date code on here that says that the photocell was made in '86, but I think the light is older than that. So we're going to go ahead and power it up and see if the photocell works. I imagine, well, I don't know. It might try to power up immediately and then go off, or it might have a little time delay. The photocell itself does specify on there, it's hard to read, a 2-minute time delay, approximately. So let's go ahead and plug it in and see what it does. I'm also curious to see what power the bulb is being provided by the ballast, as far as what voltage and what current. So if it doesn't power up right away, or it doesn't light up right away, we'll put a piece of tape over the photocell. So let's give this thing a try. Oh, okay, so it did power up right away. Well, we'll just let it warm up then. Put the piece of tape over it. So, it's going to take some time for it to warm up and actually come up to where we can check the load. Let me turn these lights off. Okay. Now what the hell? Let's see what it's drawing right now. So, what's it drawing on the line? Oh. Wow, 6 amps. But going down, now 5.3, 5.2, 5.1, 5, 4, so it's dropping as the bulb warms up. Let's see what the bulb itself is being fed current-wise. About 2.5 amps, 2.3, 2.2, 2.1, 2. So the current's going down as the bulb is coming up to brightness. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm no expert on these Mercury vapor lamps, but they've always kind of fascinated me. So I guess we'll give it a couple more minutes to get up to temperature. I'd say 5 minutes should be enough. And yeah, and then what we'll do is we'll pull the piece of tape off that photocell and see if it turns off. Alright, well, she's fully up to temperature now. And I busted out all the metering I've got. So we got the power factor meter on it, and I got the Fluke amp clamp out, because that Klein amp clamp, I don't know, it doesn't seem to like the poor power factor of this thing. Its readings are all bouncing around, so let's see where we're at. Let me take you off the tripod here, see if I can do this one-handed. So, there's our power factor, and I think I'm going to be sick to my stomach looking at that. Jeez, 0.5? That's horrible. But you know what? It doesn't have a capacitor. So, and I don't think it ever did. Why? Why it never had a power factor correction capacitor? I don't know. Guess it was being sold to a market where that really didn't matter. Probably toward a light commercial or residential installation rather than an industrial installation. You know, in the United States, we don't get penalized for a bad power factor for residential applications. We only get charged for active power or real power. So, let's see. Let's put the ammeter on. Let's put the ammeter on the line. I'm drawing about 3 amps or so, 3.5 amps. Okay, and the bulb should be about the same. Maybe not. I don't know. Okay, so the bulb's about 2 amps. So we're losing 1.5 amps through that ballast. Okay, so the bulb's running at 2 amps. I'm gonna have to put you back on the tripod here, and we'll check and see what the bulb is being fed. I already checked my utility power, or the line power I should say. My line power is about 121 volts. Might be hard to show you guys this, but I'm gonna try. Let's see what the bulb is being fed, or the lamp I should say. Let's see. Can I get my probe there? Okay, so the lamp is being fed 133 volts. Okay, so we got a little bit of a step up through the ballast and a little bit of current limiting. Now, of course, we really can't calculate the wattage until we throw the power factor in there, which is bad. I really need to get a nice digital watt meter. Now, you guys can calculate that. I'm not so concerned. So we're drawing 3.5 amps at 121 volts with a power factor of 0.5. So how many watts of active power is that? I'm not going to bother checking power factor to the bulb, but it should be the same. So, okay, well, let's put this back in the fixture. Alright, well, I made a good deal of progress on the fixture. So it's fully reassembled now. Now, I tried to polish up the housing and the shade as best I could, and it came out pretty well. It might look a little bit extra shiny on the camera because I did put a clear coat on it, and we'll see if that preserves it a little bit better or if the sun just makes it flake right off. Also, I had to replace the photocell. The one that was on there was bad, so yeah, it's funny, the one that I replaced it with is the same model, same brand. So, got the mast arm, or the arm, attached. And one issue, well, not issue, but this is obviously made to mount on the side of a pole, whether it be like a wooden pole or a steel pole. And the barn's got a flat front, or a flat face on it. So I made this bracket just now. I took a piece of pipe that I had and kind of opened the radius up a little bit, drilled and tapped 3 holes and drilled holes for the wiring to pass through, and ran a carbide burr over that and a file so they're nice and smooth. Welded it together. So that's going to sit up against there like that. And I'm not exactly sure how we're going to mount the fixture to the side. I don't know if I'm going to use lag bolts or through bolts. So I drilled these holes nice and large. They're 9/16 holes. So that should allow me to kind of make it work as I go along. Also, I ran a piece of 12/4 SO cord. And that's going to be like the little whip for the light itself. So it's 12/4 because we got a ground, a neutral. The black is the line or the hot if you're going to use the photocell. The red is the hot if you're going to bypass the photocell. So I'll show you how I'm going to set that up later. So let's go ahead out and start mounting the thing. Okay, so here's what I decided to do for mounting. So I've got two 2x12s screwed together with, well, the one you're looking at here extends out past the one that's sandwiched in between the plywood and the outer one. And then I've got that screwed to these 2 A-frame 2x4s that make up that truss. And then I've also got that sandwich screwed down to the rafter here. And can you see I've got a little hole drilled, well, it's 1-inch hole actually, drilled right in the center there. That's going to be my pass-through for the wiring. And there's where it poked out front here. So now I can go ahead and mount my bracket. And I've decided to use lag bolts for that, 1/2-inch by 4-inch lags. So let me get that done, and the next clip we'll have a light out here. Okay, we have a light. How's that look? Pretty straight? Sorry about that. I'm happy with it. So now we got to do the electrical. Okay, well, we have a light. Looks pretty straight. Got it switched on now just for testing. New bracket there. I think it came out pretty nice. So let's take a look at the wiring. You're probably not going to be able to see it because it's so dark up there. But we've got a junction box there, transitioning from the SO cord to Romex. The Romex runs overhead. Oh, there you go. Over and down. So we got 2 toggle switches here, 2 light switches. The one on the left is just an ordinary single pole switch. This is a 3-way single pole switch. So this is just kind of a master on and off, and the 3-way selects whether you want, in this case up is override the photocell, or down, which is photocell control. And then that goes down to our little breaker box. It's on a 15-amp breaker. I still have to put new receptacles in, and this little box here I was going to leave until another day, but when I opened it up, I found that this light switch over here is not grounded. So they ran Romex, 12/2 Romex, but they chose not to ground it. So that's great. So I guess I'll be fixing that now. So we'll come back when it's dark, and we'll see what kind of performance that light gives us. Okay, well, light just turned on. It's funny, my lights on the garage over here, those 2 on the front, they're on a photocell as well, and they turned on not a minute ago. So the photocell on those and the one on the barn light here must be calibrated pretty much the same. So you can see it's not quite dark yet. Still enough light to see what you're doing. So it's about a pretty good time to turn on, I would say. So we'll come back once it's pitch black and that thing will be up to full power. Alright, well, it's dark and the light's fully warmed up. I gotta say, it's almost a little overkill. I'm standing about 100 feet away from it right now, and look at the house. It's lighting the house up. Well, not so much the side, but I'm casting a shadow here. I don't know if you're picking that up. But let's walk a little bit closer to it. See, it's lighting the house up. Got a moon rising over there. Yeah. It's lighting this area up like daytime pretty much. Wow. Yeah, it's lighting up a good 50-foot radius from the front of the barn here. You know, it's not buzzing or anything either. It's actually running pretty quiet. I can't even hear it. Yeah, there's a look back at the house. So you can see it's lighting this whole area up really well. I could probably go down a notch to a 100 watt bulb, but I don't know if I'd have to swap a ballast out or not. So I hope some of you people found this a little interesting. And if you stuck with the video, I thank you. So thanks for watching.